Surviving the Survivor, we bring you the best guests in all of true crime. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, Joel Waldman.
Live from a very rainy New York City, it is Surviving the Survivor, the show that promises to bring you the very best guests in all of true crime. And occasionally we give you rainy updates from massive trials. And this is the Sean Diddy Combs trial in Lower Manhattan. Testimony is still going on day 5 of testimony. It's expected to last till about 1 p.m. Eastern, and then they're going to take a very short lunch and continue. And this morning in court, it was a totally different feeling. The government and the defense kind of going at it, trading barbs, arguing over evidence and admission of evidence. And yesterday, Judge Arun Subramanian essentially said, you have through today to cross the government star witness, Cassie Ventura. Your cross must be done today. Well, the morning got off with the defense essentially saying, we don't know if we're going to be finished. And Judge Arun Subramanian saying, no, you do know you're going to be finished. The government was kind enough to say they will let you do cross till 4:30 Eastern time, and the remaining half hour till court ends, because they can't keep the jurors past 5. I mean, they can, but they don't want to. And this judge is very sympathetic to the jurors' needs, and he doesn't want to keep them. So the government said, look, let him cross till 4:30 if they need to, and we'll only take 30 minutes on a redirect. And the defense said, well, we don't know if we can get it done. You could hear the tenor in the judge's voice, the gloves coming off. The judge now was really aggravated. He said, what is the evidentiary issue? He said, if you guys have problems with evidence that you want to admit, and keeping in mind that yesterday the defense dumped 400 new documents into evidence, the judge said, well, then you should have gotten here way earlier today. I come in early. I could have taken care of this. Essentially, get your act together. After being admonished, and the judge is a very nice guy, I have to say. He even said, look, I've been really accommodating. After all that happened, which ended up taking from about 9 a.m. till about 9:40 a.m., the judge welcomed in the jury. Cassie Ventura was already at the stand. Sean Combs wearing the exact same outfit for the 5th straight day, this oatmeal sweater with oatmeal colored pants, and he's got, it's like a grayish blue, and he's got a white Oxford underneath, looking exactly the same as he has, with the gray hair, the gray goatee, and sort of just sitting back watching. Now, what was noticeable and notable is the gallery of the main courtroom was much less full today. In other words, more empty. And some of the people who were missing were Sean Combs' family. Again, in the overflow room, which is kind of where I've chosen to watch this, it's tough to see the monitor. You hear everything really well, but from a certain distance, you can only see the witness really, and the defense table and the government table. I believe some of Sean Combs' family showed up. If they are in fact in there, they came late, but it was tough to tell. But again, very noticeably absent were a lot of the people in the gallery who we had seen on days 1 through 4. At issue were 2 new videos and a text message. One of them, the defense described as Diddy's chief of staff speaking to Cassie Ventura. That's what they were sort of arguing about. And they also talked about a video that they wanted to admit into evidence. And then they sort of accidentally, the defense did, played the video accidentally, just the audio. And they had prefaced it by saying it's a video of Sean Combs walking in nature. And everyone's like, what's this? What's going on here? And then you heard it, and it was Sean Combs talking about grace, calmness, and love. And he said, come grow with me. It's unclear if it was directed at Cassie Ventura or the general public from maybe a social media post that he had posted for a while. Again, it is pouring rain here. It's probably tough to tell. I'm huddled under a tree next to a courthouse with my phone diagonally on a slab of concrete so I can look at my notes. So that's how we do it in news. We enterprise and come up with ways to deliver the content. Another piece of evidence that came into question before this cross even started was a picture of Cassie, um, who is apparently bruised after taking a dance class, and she attaches that as part of a text chain from years ago. Clearly, the defense wants or wanted or is trying to bring this in to show that maybe not all the bruises that we've seen come from Sean Combs, which got kind of a from a lot of people in there saying, you got to be kidding me. Like, you're going to show a bruise from a single. Everyone gets bruised by something, but this does not take away the fact that Sean Combs was, in fact, beating her. Then we got into the actual cross examination. Cassie Ventura takes the stand in a black, thick lapelled jacket again with a gray blouse underneath. This time her hair much more flowy, not pulled back. Anna Estevello for the defense is on the cross. She goes right back to the Intercontinental Hotel where that infamous video took place. Suddenly, and there was a line of questioning relating to Sean Combs having been on drugs that night. And again, people are like, who cares? Who cares if he was on drugs? That's not an excuse to beat up a woman. So people were very early on kind of questioning the line of questioning. And what happened right away was the defense sort of accidentally put up a photo, a text message, but it wasn't admitted into evidence. And then they apologized. And there was a sense that the defense was unorganized, and people in the jury, in the gallery where I was sitting, they're like the jurors. They're like, what's going on here? Why are they disorganized? Why are they putting up photos without having it been admitted into evidence? And then they get into the text messages after that, and Cassie says, and it's sort of an angry tone. And this is a day or two after this beating at the Intercontinental Hotel. And I quote here: she says, when you get fucked up, um, you go the wrong way. I am not your rag doll. I'm someone's daughter. That was a powerful moment. This is a text exchange, and this is coming from the defense. She says, when you get effed up, you go the wrong way. I am not your rag doll. I'm someone's daughter. What the defense was doing here was making the case that Cassie Ventura and Sean Combs were fueled with drugs. That's a raindrop that took my camera off, believe it or not. And so, again, people are like, well, who cares that he was on drugs? Or this is the point that the defense is trying to make. They get to a message. They're bouncing all over the place of January, February, March 9th of 2016. This is exactly 3 days after the now infamous video. Again, they put up something that's not in evidence. There's an objection. They finally get back to a text that was read the other day where Sean Combs says, I'm so horny for you. Cassie Ventura says, you are? Why? What made you feel that way? And Sean Combs says, I felt that way from Friday. And she said, it's not a good vibe, meaning like, don't propose sex to me right after what just happened, which is the beating. But she's talking to him and she's okay with him. She says very calmly, we need a different vibe than what happened Friday. And Sean Combs responds, fuck Friday, LOL. This is a guy who just literally beat the crap out of a woman, his girlfriend, someone that he is supposed to care deeply care deeply about and is in love with. And he says, fuck Friday, LOL. Well, there's really nothing funny about this. And then he goes on to say, I don't even want to do that again. And it's unclear if it's like the freak off, unclear that he beat her, sort of nebulous, but he's, I don't know, making a very half-assed apology to her. And it was odd because now people are wondering what is the defense doing here? The defense again, though. And by the way, I'm sitting next to a prosecutor in the gallery who actually told me that she consulted the current government prosecutors to a degree. She talked to them, in other words, and helped them kind of put things together. And she herself couldn't follow the defense's logic here. She happens to be an analyst for NBC News. and is coming on Surviving the Survivor next week because I talked to her. And I've got a whole host of, got someone from USA Today, Newsweek. I'm doing Steve Cohen's job, but we'll have some amazing reporters who are in the courtroom who will come on the show next week. Um, again, they show a piece of evidence that's not, that has not been allowed in yet. And there's an objection. And I turned to this analyst. I'm like, what are they doing? She's like, they're doing it on purpose because they want to show these messages. And that just goes to show you how cutthroat criminal defense is and what gamesmanship there is, that they're putting these exhibits up and full well knowing that they're not supposed to, because these women are seasoned enough. These prosecutors know what they're doing. I'm sorry, the defense team knows enough of what they're doing that they should not be putting these up without having been admitted into evidence. And this is Tenny Garagos who's putting this stuff into evidence. They're working in tandem along with Anna, who is doing the cross for the defense. They bring up that black hoodie photo of Cassie Ventura after she was bruised, and they just take it down right away. And again, what was the point of that? We don't know. So today, the defense seemed quite scattered, did not seem to have a through line as to what they were trying to get to. They shoot ahead to August 2016. And Sean, they say at this point, thinks that Cassie Ventura is cheating on him. She sends a text to her mother because she's now at this point in August of 2016 in a car on the way to the doctor for some reason. And Sean Combs is with her, and he comes and he's livid again because he finds out or suspects that she is cheating, and he grabs her phone and then he disappears down Wilshire Boulevard. And the defense says, well, where did he go? And she's like, I don't know. He was gone. He left down Wilshire. She gets home and the mom, Cassie's mom, is like, where's your phone? She's like, Sean took it. She calls the police. And the way this is resolved is, quote unquote, she gets the phone back later in the day. So this is now the second or third time that I've heard that law enforcement is called, and also the second or third time that Sean Diddy Combs is unscathed, untouched. I don't even think he gets contacted by police, but he nevertheless returns this phone that he had just taken for her. Apparently, Sean Combs is upset because Cassie Ventura was having an alleged affair with an NFL player. They described him as being insanely jealous. And then they go on, has he ever taken your phone before? And she says yes. But again, this is all playing into the government's hands. As a lunatic hip hop star who can't handle a girlfriend that he's beating, ever even seeing another guy, whether it was romantically or not, just getting word that she was with another person was enough to set him off. So how is this helping the defense? I'm not exactly sure. Then in another instance, Sean Combs apparently thought that she was dancing with Chris Brown, who was just arrested the other day. So not the greatest circle of people, I guess, to be around, but famous people nonetheless. Sean Combs gets word that maybe she's cheating with Chris Brown, and he kind of gets into it. At this point, with Cassie, and at this point, there's an objection by the government and the defense, and they start kind of going at it about the relevance of this. Why are they bringing this in? Is this hearsay? A much different feel today between the government and the defense. Like the gloves are off and they're ready to go at each other. It's been nothing but cordial up to now. A different feeling in the courtroom today. Cassie explains that Sean Combs would take her phone, her car, her watch, her passport. If you ask any coercive control expert or anyone on the street, what is this? He's trying to control her. Then she's off to talking about how she had to take a trip to Sedona and that Sean Combs was there at a separate time. She went there to take a quote unquote break from drugs and alcohol. I guess the defense's point here is that they were both drug addled and reliant on alcohol and drugs. And then this is the most interesting part of the day. They bring up this guy Suchit again. He's a person who apparently tells Cassie Ventura that he has video of Cassie masturbating and having sex with someone else. Maybe Sean Combs, we don't know. Sean Combs says to her, we found this out on direct. Sean Combs says to her, well, you better go find out what's going on. And he's in California. She's down in Atlantic City at this point and has a meeting with him. And before this happens, Cassie Ventura says to Sean Combs, obviously you're high. This is during another exchange. Sean Combs, where were you? I went home. And now he's accusing her. Now he's accusing her of having some kind of affair with this guy, Suchid, which she laughs about. She's like, you got to be crazy. I would never have an affair. I don't know. We don't know who this guy really is. Some of you might, from following Cassie Ventura and Sean Combs a lot more closely than me, but I don't know who Suchid is. I don't think the jurors know who Suchid is. And now Sean is in the midst of this notion that Suchid has a video of Cassie Ventura and possibly Sean Combs. He's taking time to get upset that she could potentially be having an affair with this guy. Suddenly you hear a baby, and I had PTSD. I'm like, what is going on? Someone had a baby in a stroller in this overflow room. Didn't think that was allowed. It was. Shortly after that, a man with a completely tattooed face walks in. Welcome to New York City. This is what goes on behind the scenes. They bring up this bar fight. So again, they're bouncing around. We go from Suchid back to this bar fight where this is the instance where Cassie Ventura gets upset at a woman who apparently is taking photos of her. It's actually nebulous, though. Like, it wasn't as clear. Like, was this a separate incident? But we all kind of assume that this is the same incident where Cassie grabs this woman by the lapel and starts yanking on her. Now, we get back to Suchid. And again, the defense asks if they can admit evidence. And now we start to hear a phone call from Atlantic City. I'm sorry, not a phone call, but a voice recording on a phone. And it's Cassie Ventura, this guy Suchid, and other people. This part was effective for the defense. The only part, I think, today, and very effective and very disturbing, because now Cassie Ventura basically is livid, and you hear her, and she says, I need to discuss this video about me touching myself. And who was I fucking? She says. Sorry for the language, but I'm talking the way they did before. You have it in your phone. She's speaking to Suchid now, who's very defensive at this restaurant in Atlantic City. Why didn't you show me this video and this picture? And he says, yo, I'm not disrespectful, bro, which is how my kids talk to me. But this guy is now talking and referring to Cassie as bro. Then it gets a little bit inaudible. Cassie Ventura gets more and more, I would say, angry, upset, and rage. She says, I want to fucking see it right now. And then pivots to, I'll kill you. I'll kill you. I'll cut you up and put you in the dirt, and I'll kill you twice. And then she kind of takes a breath, tells everyone who else at the table that they have to go. They have to leave. And you can hear commotion like they're getting up. And then she turns to him after they're gone and says, there won't be blood on my hands. Someone else is going to kill you. You're gonna get your shit fucked up, she says. So this is the only time that we've really seen like the switch flip with Cassie. She's angry. The person next to me, who's a former prosecutor and an attorney, agreed that this is the most damaging and damning part of today's testimony. But we're in New York City. People are temperamental. She thinks that someone has a video of her masturbating and having sex, potentially with Sean Combs, that's been released or is about to be released. And quite frankly, I don't think she's the only person, woman or man, who'd be threatening someone. I think it was more hyperbolic than I'm actually going to kill you. And what was interesting in having further conversations is she says the blood won't be on my hands. So this actually goes more to Sean Combs and this criminal enterprise, because the implication is that either Sean or one of Sean's people is going to come and they're going to kill you. Then they switch over to another lovely character, a guy named John Oddie, who was one of the escorts who got in trouble for bringing a gun into a Trump-owned business at one point. Now, Cassie Ventura thought that he had taken some secret video as well. So just imagine this lifestyle, by the way. Not only is she, disgusted apparently with these freak-offs and on these drugs, but now there's this level of paranoia that's, infusing both the minds of Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura. Now, do people have these videos? Do they have these freak off videos? Are they going to out us? Are our careers going to be ruined? So they continue talking about this guy, um, Adi, and the defense asks, um, did he record it? Now they get off of that topic and they pivot to this company that we've heard over and over again called Cowboys for Angels, which is an escort service, men for women, Cowboys for Angels. And the defense reveals that they were featured. This company is featured on a show called Gigolos on Showtime. Cassie Ventura and Sean Combs are concerned about this because they want no part of a reality show. They're showing the sort of the behind the scenes of their worries. Sean Combs then pivots back in the midst of all this to a concern that Cassie Ventura has too many iPads. Um, and Cassie Ventura responds to this. I mean, this is such a dysfunctional, discombobulated, like just crazy relationship that there's all this stuff going on, fears that they're going to be outed. And now, again, Sean Combs worried that she's got too many iPads, to which he responds, this is way deeper than iPads, meaning we've got bigger problems in our own relationship. Cassie Ventura's mom uh, took these photos that we saw the other day. They bring them back in to evidence and show the jurors once again, or not back into evidence, but they show them again. And this is a big, big bruise on the back, bottom left, the bottom left corner of Cassie Ventura's back after being stomped on by Sean Diddy, and also a big bruise on her thigh. Again, this is from Cassie Ventura's mother. And I got to say, I feel awful for Cassie Ventura's mother, father, and brother who've been dragged through this. They immediately get back to Kid Cudi, the other famous, you know, hip hop star, I guess. And they talk about how she was with him for a month, and but then she decided to get back together with Sean Combs, kind of laying the groundwork that she couldn't separate from this guy. It was her. She decided to go back. Again, they show an exhibit that has not officially been admitted into evidence, and the judge is like, "What's happening here?" And everyone in the gallery is like, "What's going on?" Again, the attorney next to me believes that it was being done on purpose. This is a game. That's what that kind of bums me out about learning more and more about how trials work. It has nothing to do with justice. You heard that on our show last night. It's all about winning or losing. And these were, quite frankly, cheap shots by the defense just to get images and text messages in that maybe otherwise would not have been admitted. And again, once a juror sees it, they can't unsee it. Now, in early 2023, they talk about how Cassie Ventura admits herself into a 45-day inpatient clinic called Willow House for mental health issues. She had been clean, she said, since 2022. The defense asks her, "Oh, have you been clean since 2022?" And the next question is, "Well, aren't you still taking Suboxone?" Now, Suboxone is a drug to alleviate the after effects and withdrawal of opiates. And there's thunder coming now, so I'm about to get drenched. But so she says she's been taking not Suboxone, but another form of Suboxone since 2022 to help. It basically mitigates the desire for opiates. But I don't know what the defense was doing here. Were they saying, well, you said you stopped taking drugs, but now you're taking another drug? Well, this drug is to help her with her addiction, prescribed by a doctor. She was asked to explain what it does, and she's like, I'm not a doctor. I don't know. So I actually think it helped her again and helped the government. Then they get into her book, which is titled Dark Times. And she says she wrote it and began writing it while she was at this therapy retreat called Willow House. And then they stop there. Again, this is just so, I just can't wrap my head around what exactly they were doing here. They start asking her, well, does this place also treat sexual addiction? I think so. Does it treat sexual compulsion? I think so. Does it treat something called love addiction? I think so. But she's like, I didn't have any of those therapies. And then they start talking about something known as neurofeedback therapy and EMDR and somatic experiences. These are different forms of therapy. Well, she says, I didn't do any of those other than the neurofeedback therapy. And maybe I think she said she experimented there with the EMDR, and she explained that these are mechanisms or therapies to help you deal with trauma. And the example she gave, one example she gave was she was talking in kind of the third person about a general human being. She said, let's say someone was physically abused and they never had a chance to walk out the door after being hit. These therapies help you get out that door so you have, I guess, a closure on the experience, the particular experience of that abuse. So, but all of this to me paints a human side to Cassie Ventura, with the exception of that one call in Atlantic City, which is recorded. It's a voice recording with this guy Suchin. Outside of that, I think Cassie looked pretty good today, and I don't fully understand what the defense was doing. Um, I'm looking at the notes here, suggesting they're talking about different dates and time, and then they get to January 2016. And again, this is now after the beating. So now they go to messages after the beating at the Intercontinental, and Cassie Ventura messages, I'm sorry, I've been upset. Sitting still has me depressed. I love you. Good night. I love you. And then Cassie says, I love you, and that sex with you is very important to me. Um, so she's letting him know that she cares about him. Again, my notes here say discombobulated in huge words, flow way off. Like the defense cross here, there was absolutely no cadence, none. It was like blah, 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 no flow at all to what the defense was doing here, unless it's something I don't understand. And again, the cross was scheduled to go till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I have to catch a flight, so I bounced out of here a few minutes early. I wrote down here the jurors must be scratching their heads as to what is going on. Now there were a couple of instances where both the prosecutors and the defense said that they wanted to confer with counsel. And then it happens again where the prosecutor, Maureen Comey, says, may I confer with counsel? And the judge is annoyed and aggravated, and he just barks out, no. And we hadn't heard that before. So now she can't confer with counsel, and she doesn't miss a beat. The defense doesn't miss a beat. They just keep going. Interesting to watch it all play out. They go back to April 19th, 2010. I want to talk to you about something tomorrow. This is Cassie to Sean Combs. Sean knows, and we had seen this text earlier in the week, that it's something related to freak offs. And the very next day, and it was that she did not want freak offs. She did not want freak offs. Then on the next day, April 20th of 2010, she texts Sean Combs and suggests a freak out with a woman this time. And this is literally right after suggesting no more freak offs and needing to get to a good place. So they're both sort of just maniacal in their text messaging and what they want from each other. And I guess here it is somewhat effective because it's how I'm describing it, that it appears that Cassie Ventura didn't herself know what she wanted. And so she's just messaging and texting Sean Diddy Combs. On the one hand, I don't want anything to do with freak offs. I don't want anything to do with this lifestyle or being forced to take drugs. And then almost immediately after, can we have another freak off with a woman? This is going to be up to the jurors to sort of figure out what is going on here. She then, a few hours or moments later, texts again saying that I've lived in this bubble. This is Cassie Ventura. I've lived in this bubble too long. I just needed to know that you would take care of me. And now we find out that she is consumed. Now it's Cassie Ventura, not Sean Combs, but Cassie Ventura, consumed with jealousy. And it's about this other woman that Sean Combs was dating named Gina. Now we go backwards in time to August 2018. And this is the part again where Cassie Ventura tries to have this dinner and break off the relationship with Sean Diddy Combs. This is when Sean Combs says, the defense says, well, he followed you into the apartment. And she corrects the defense and says, I had a home there, so he followed me into the home and raped me. And then they get into the lawsuit that was filed afterwards. She said that she was forced into the home and that he tried to kiss me. This all happened after a meeting at an Italian restaurant in Malibu, and then the defense pivots to a meeting with prosecutors after the lawsuit. Uh, Cassie Ventura tells them that she believes that Sean Combs could be bipolar. So now she's sort of diagnosing him. Maybe she knows something we don't know. But Cassie Ventura says, yeah, he could be bipolar, and says Sean Combs is not in his right mind because when he tried to did rape me, she says, I told him to stop and he wouldn't stop. He's got issues. Maybe it's bipolar disorder. Now they're talking about another meeting just last month that Cassie Ventura had with the federal prosecutors. And there they showed her a text back from 2018 around the time of this breakup dinner. And right after that, or right around the same time as this breakup dinner, Cassie Ventura is immediately texting Sean Combs, hit me up when you can. Sean Combs says, okay, I'm in an investors conference. I know I look bad, Cassie Ventura says. She says to him, I know I look bad. I have to get my shit together. She was implying that she was not sexually turning him on. So this is just like a schizophrenic, up and down, maniacal relationship in terms of what they're saying to each other, what they want from each other. Cassie Ventura is then asked by the defense, do you hate Sean Combs? And very softly she says, I don't hate him. And then comes up, there's an issue that seemingly comes out of left field about a yoga instructor. And then we come to learn that Sean Diddy Combs had a yoga instructor that he apparently had some sort of sexual relationship. And Cassie Ventura, after finding this out in this meeting with the government, in a text message says, regarding this yoga instructor, maybe you've been going on dates all along. I actually need to stop even caring. Sean Combs says, do you want to start dating? Like either other people or himself? It's not clear. Like they want to start it back up. And she says to him, if you're in LA next week, maybe we can talk. So this exchange goes back to after the breakup, or at least right around the time of the breakup. And this is all being fleshed out during a meeting just last month with prosecutors. The final note I have here is that, in a nutshell, after going through all this kind of circular logic and, as I said, kind of this schizophrenic relationship, the final note I have, if I can get my waterlogged pages out, Cassie Ventura still wanted Sean Combs back after the breakup. I think that's what the defense was ultimately trying to get accomplished this morning, to show that she liked him, she wanted him. If he was so abusive and such a horrible person, why would she still be pursuing him? Look, I'm not a juror, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a psychologist. I think that people get into awful relationships, but they're still codependent. I think Cassie Ventura still had a need and a desire to be with him, but that does not mean that Sean Combs wasn't beating her up on a consistent basis and that this was not a dysfunctional relationship, because I have no doubt that it was. And, you know, the saga continues here. The jurors are going to have a lot to sort out. We've got another victim of Sean Diddy Combs who's set to take the stand on Monday. Judge Arun Subramanian said this cross will end today. And if you listened to my show last night, one of the concerns is that Cassie Ventura could literally give birth any moment. So if the cross isn't finished and for some reason it goes through the weekend and she were to give birth, this entire trial would be in absolute jeopardy. So the judge is going to make sure, in my opinion, that this cross gets done today, come hell or high water. So that is the very latest, the fifth day of testimony, the morning session here from a very rainy lower Manhattan. How do people live in New York where it rains every other day? How did I do this for 40 years of my life? I'm hopping on a plane headed back to Miami, where I'm sure it'll be raining. Love you all. Thank you for tuning in. COE, I'm going to let you jump in to see if you have any questions.
Hi, yeah, Allie B from Tennessee is asking, why do you think they don't go in chronological order? And then people are asking,
Why don't I think they go in front of what?
in chronological order.
Oh, um, I have no idea. I mean, the only way I can answer that is I think it, as someone who wrote a book, which is not a lot, but it's something, and who's a storyteller for a living, I find chronological order very boring. Like when I was a news reporter, I would never start like in the morning, like, when court started today, this happened, and then this happened, 'cause it's just not interesting. I would have started with this conversation with Suchin, which is sort of the lead. Cassie Ventura threatened to kill this guy, threatened to bury him in the dirt, and said blood wouldn't be on her hands. Much more dramatic, much more compelling. So I think maybe the defense is trying to do that. I'm just not sure if they're quite the storyteller that maybe they should hire me as a consultant, is what I'm saying.
And Joel, really quickly, I know that your vantage point visually, sometimes you're not able to see everyone. Was there any kind of reaction that you saw today from anyone, whether it be Cassie, Diddy, the jurors, anything that stood out?
In the judge's voice, you could tell he's he's one of these guys. You can just tell he's a sweet guy. Like a night, like if you met him at a ice cream shop, that he'd be a nice person and say, "Hey, how you doing?" Blah blah blah. But I guess this is my addiction to Haagen-Dazs. That's why I said an ice cream shop. Like, who would say that? But he was irritated today. He was annoyed. He was aggravated. He was irritated. And again, Sean Combs' family, I think they're in the court now, but they were not there for the beginning part, which is very unusual. I don't know if it's because of the weather in New York today, but they were not there. And the gallery was literally almost empty in the actual courtroom for the better part of the day. I'll say this, the overflow rooms were overflowing today, which hadn't been happening the last 2 days. So a lot more people watching this cross today, which was surprising. I'm not sure why. I don't know. Maybe they um, lowered the number of overflow rooms because they had them at 5 and then 4. So maybe they're down to 2 or 3. And that's why it was so crowded, but it was packed inside the overflow room. By the way, getting into federal courthouse is like going through an airport security line, but worse. They make you take everything off every time you go in or out. It's a whole process. So um, that's just a little bit more of the behind the scenes color of what people have to deal with. And obviously, New York is animated with a lot of characters. So all that combined and makes for a very interesting environment. So, any other questions, COE?
People are asking if there's any talk about whether or not Diddy will take the stand.
I asked that question yesterday. The answer was 99.999% no, but he has the right to. He is likely an egomaniac. He's an entertainer, and he knows how to tell a story, I think, and he knows how to market and brand. But the betting odds are there's no way he's taking the stand because that opens the door for so many other things on on cross from the government that they would probably annihilate him. And I can't imagine the lawyers he has, who are some of the best in the country and in New York City, would ever allow him to do that. They would literally probably strap him down before they would let him get up there.
Joel, a lot of the comments in the chat right now are thanking you for your coverage and for working so hard and for being there standing in the rain reporting. So we all appreciate you. People are asking if you're coming back next week.
Yeah, so I'm going to be back home. I got a family first. I'm going to hang out with my wife and my kids, the COE. For those who are new, she's the chief of everything. I have talked to people here. I might come back for closings and the verdict. We'll see. But we've got other big cases. But we're going to stay on this case. And, I knew a lot of reporters here and met new ones who are mainly print reporters for big publications, the USA Today, Newsweek, and others who are going to come on as guests next week and continue to keep us in the loop.
Okay, awesome. Anything else, Joel, that you want to share? Was there one moment that stood out to you today?
I think just sort of the culmination of the week and the fact that it seems like, combined with the rain, which changes people's moods, and the fact that the defense didn't really have their what together, there was much more tension than in previous days where the judge was annoyed, the defense was annoyed, the government was annoyed with the defense was annoyed with the government. The judge was annoyed with both. The defense and the government were both kind of on thin ice with the judge, so that made them a little more edgy, and just all around, you know, edginess and discomfort amongst the participants in this trial. The whole time, though, Cassie Ventura kind of monotone, didn't even react to that audio recording when she threatened this person's life. No real affect. And Sean Combs was just kicking back like he's in a recording studio watching them produce an album. So as far as the actual participants, the government star witness and Sean Diddy Combs, they seemed, you know, cool, calm, and collected. But Diddy Combs' life is on the line, and I think if you saw the show the other day, he's got a film crew following him around. It would be the last thing that I would be doing if my life was on the line. But I'm not a hip hop star, and I guess that's what is important to him right now. The only other thing I'll say, COE, get the COVID medicine ready because it's cold, it's raining, and I've been in everyone's faces in closed, confined quarters. I'm sure I will have DEFCON 5 COVID next week, and I don't know. You're gonna have to get me medicine.
All
That's
right,
it.
we're mentally preparing. All right, we want you to get to the airport because we do not want you to miss your flight. You've done a great job, Joel. You've done a phenomenal job, really. We miss you. We love you. Home safely.
See you soon. Love you guys. Take care. Love you from New York City.